What if I told you that every manifestation technique you've tried has been working against you? Not because you're doing it wrong, but because you're aiming at the wrong target entirely. Right now, in this very moment, you're transmitting an invisible signal that's either pulling everything you desire directly into your life or pushing it further away. And the brutal truth is, most people spend years trying to manifest their dreams while broadcasting the exact frequency that guarantees those dreams will never arrive. Think about that for a second. You could be sabotaging your own success without even knowing it. Here's what nobody talks about in the manifestation community. Your consciousness isn't a passive observer watching life unfold. It's an active transmitter, constantly sending out a vibrational signature that tells the universe exactly what version of reality to deliver to you. And here's the part that changes everything. This signal has nothing to do with your vision, boards, your affirmations, or how many hours you spend visualizing. The signal comes from something much deeper, something most people never even think to examine. Has this ever happened to you? You set clear goals, you visualize daily, you do all the right things the experts tell you to do. And yet months pass, sometimes years, and you're still stuck in the same patterns, dealing with the same challenges, watching other people manifest what you've been desperately trying to attract. Frustration builds because you're putting in the work, but the breakthrough never comes. Deep down, you start wondering if maybe this whole thing just doesn't work for people like you. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Here's what's really happening behind the scenes. Your subconscious mind, the part of you that's running about 95% of your moment-to-moment experience, doesn't care one bit about what you consciously want. It's not interested in your goals, your plans, or your dreams. It only responds to one thing: who you believe you are at the deepest, most fundamental level of your being. This is the frequency that's actually being broadcast, and it's why you can want abundance while living in scarcity consciousness, desire love while vibrating at unworthiness, or dream of success while identifying as someone who perpetually struggles. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover is a 60-second mental technique that bypasses all of this resistance. It's not about working harder at manifestation. It's about working smarter, targeting the one thing that actually determines what shows up in your life. And once you understand how to shift this invisible broadcast, signal in just 60 seconds a day, everything changes. The universe stops responding to what you want and starts responding to who you are. Now, I want to go even deeper into this, because there's something happening inside your brain right now that most people have absolutely no idea about. Neuroscience has uncovered a mechanism that sounds like it belongs in science fiction, but it's actually operating in your mind every single second of every single day. Your brain is running sophisticated simulations of your future constantly. We're not talking about daydreaming or casual imagination here. We're talking about actual neural activity that begins firing and responding to events before they even happen in physical reality. Scientists call this predictive coding, and the research shows something absolutely remarkable. Your brain can start preparing for something up to 15 seconds before it actually occurs in the external world. Think about the implications of that for a moment. Your consciousness is literally rehearsing possible futures, generating scenarios, testing outcomes, all beneath the surface of your awareness. But here's where this becomes crucial to your manifestation journey. The futures your brain simulates aren't random. They're based entirely on your current frequency, on the signal you're broadcasting right now. If you're vibrating at the frequency of lack, your brain simulates futures that confirm lack. If you're operating from a frequency of possibility and abundance, your neural system starts constructing pathways toward those realities. This is the hidden truth behind why some people seem to naturally attract opportunities, while others can't catch a break no matter how hard they try. It's not luck. It's not privilege. It's frequency alignment happening at the neurological level, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy that most people never recognize is even taking place. The transformation begins when you understand that you have access to this control panel. You're not a passenger in your own consciousness. You can consciously shift the frequency your brain is using to generate these future simulations. And when you do that, you're essentially selecting which timeline from the quantum field of infinite possibilities gets to materialize in your physical experience. But here's the revelation that makes all the difference in this journey. There's a specific doorway that opens every single evening, a window of consciousness that most people walk right past without ever realizing what they're missing. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I really encourage you to do that now. This channel is dedicated to bringing you practical, transformative content about consciousness and manifestation. The kind of knowledge that actually creates real change, not just inspiration that fades by tomorrow. I'm talking about those delicate moments right before you fall asleep, that twilight zone where your thoughts start to soften and drift, where the boundary between waking and dreaming begins to dissolve. Scientists have a name for this state. They call it the hypnagogic state. And during these precise minutes, something remarkable happens behind the scenes of your awareness. Your neural activity shifts from the rapid beta waves of active thinking into slower alpha and theta frequencies. These are the same brainwave patterns found in young children when their minds absorb everything like sponges, without filters, without resistance, without that critical voice that usually guards the gates of your belief system. This is your nightly superpower, and the impact of understanding how to use it cannot be overstated. During this window, your subconscious becomes extraordinarily receptive, almost defenseless against new programming. The critical faculty that normally analyzes and judges every new piece of information, the part of your mind that says, "That's not realistic," or "That's not who I am," it relaxes, completely steps aside, and allows direct access to your core programming. Whatever you plant in this fertile soil of consciousness takes root with incredible power, because your subconscious doesn't analyze whether something is real or imagined. It doesn't distinguish between actual memory and vividly imagined experience. Write in the comments, "I'm ready to reprogram." This is where the real magic happens, where theory transforms into something you can actually use tonight. There's a precise formula that makes this work, and it requires 3 forces to converge simultaneously in those 60 seconds before sleep. Not just 1 or 2 of these elements, but all 3 working together in perfect harmony. The first force is crystal clear intention, not vague wishes or general hopes about wanting things to be better, but laser-focused clarity about the specific reality you're stepping into. Most people fail at this stage because they know what they don't want, but they've never taken the time to define with absolute precision what they do want. The quantum field can't respond to ambiguity. It responds to specificity, to a clear signal that says, "This is exactly who I'm becoming." The second force is emotional intensity, and this becomes your fuel. Without emotion, visualization is just a pleasant mental movie that evaporates the moment you open your eyes. But when you add feeling, real, visceral, embodied emotion, everything changes. This is the energetic charge that signals to your subconscious that this matters, that this is important, that this deserves attention and action. Your subconscious speaks the language of feeling, not logic. It doesn't care about your reasons or your strategic plans. It only responds to the emotional signature you're broadcasting in that moment. The third force is vivid sensory-rich visualization, and this becomes your blueprint, the detailed script that tells your neural system exactly what reality you're constructing. When these 3 elements converge during that hypnagogic state, you're no longer passively hoping for a better future. You're actively programming your brain to construct a new timeline in real time. This isn't wishful thinking. This is conscious reprogramming that happens in just 60 seconds. But the impact of those 60 seconds ripples through your entire existence. Let me guide you through something that might sound abstract at first, but becomes powerfully real when you actually experience it. Picture yourself standing in what I call a quantum terminal, a dimensional junction point where infinite versions of your life exist simultaneously. This isn't fantasy. This is a mental framework that leverages how your consciousness naturally navigates possibility. In this space, you see doorways, portals, each one representing a different timeline, a different version of you who made different decisions and lives in completely different circumstances. Some of these versions are struggling, caught in the same patterns you're trying to break free from. Some are comfortable but unfulfilled, living a life that's safe but not truly alive. And then there's one portal that's glowing, pulsing with energy, calling to you. This is the timeline where you're already living the reality you desire, where you've already become the person you're working to become. You see yourself walking toward that glowing portal with absolute certainty, with a deep inner knowing that this timeline belongs to you. You visualize boarding something like a quantum train, a vehicle representing your consciousness moving through layers of reality. And as this journey begins, you witness the transformation happening right now, not someday in the distant future. You see your future self with such vivid clarity that the distinction between future and present starts to dissolve. Where do you live in this reality? What does your space look like, feel like, smell like? How do you carry yourself when you walk into a room? What's the energy you radiate? Who's standing beside you? What conversations are you having? The more specific you get, the more your brain treats this as actual experience rather than imagination. Put in the comments, I see my new timeline clearly. But here's the real secret, the hidden mechanism that makes this entire technique work. It's not in the visual details alone. It's not about how clearly you can picture your new home or how vividly you can imagine your bank account. The real power lives in the feeling. You must feel the pride of being that person, the confidence that radiates from your core, the deep inner peace that comes from knowing you're exactly where you're meant to be, the quiet certainty that everything is unfolding perfectly. This emotional involvement is what transforms simple mental imagery into actual neural simulation. Your brain begins treating this as a lived experience, encoding it as memory, as identity, as reality itself. This is the difference between people who visualize and see nothing change, and people who visualize and watch their entire world reorganize around them. The subconscious speaks the language of feeling, not logic. It doesn't process words or thoughts the same way it processes emotion. When you combine vivid imagery with genuine feeling, you're sending a signal so strong, so clear, that your subconscious has no choice but to start restructuring your entire reality to match it. Now here's where I need to prepare you for something that happens during this transformation, something that can feel deeply unsettling if you don't understand what's actually occurring behind the scenes. As you start shifting your frequency, as your identity begins to recalibrate at this quantum level, your old reality doesn't just quietly fade into the background like credits rolling at the end of a movie. It collapses. And this collapse phase is where most people panic and convince themselves they've done something terribly wrong. If something shifted inside you while watching this, if you felt that recognition or that inner knowing, go ahead and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this content reach other people who are navigating their own transformation right now, searching for exactly what you just discovered. You might start feeling a strange inner discomfort, a restlessness that wasn't there before. People in your life might suddenly drift away, not through conflict or drama, just a natural fading. Opportunities you thought were important might dissolve right in front of you. Habits that once gave you comfort might lose their appeal entirely. Relationships that felt solid might reveal cracks you never noticed before. And the journey through this phase can feel like standing on shifting ground, watching everything you knew change and crumble beneath your feet. But here's the revelation that changes everything about how you interpret this experience. This isn't evidence that you're failing. This is evidence that you're succeeding. When you reprogram your mind with a new vibrational identity, the energetic field that was holding your previous life together begins to weaken and fragment. The universe is performing what I call a vibrational cleanup, systematically removing people, situations, and patterns that no longer match the frequency you're now broadcasting. It's not punishment. It's not a test. It's recalibration. Your old self, your old timeline, must dissolve completely to make space for the new one to fully emerge and stabilize in physical form. This is the threshold where transformation becomes real, where your commitment gets tested not by external circumstances, but by your willingness to let go of what's familiar, even when it feels uncomfortable. The hidden truth is that most people abort the entire process right here because they misinterpret the discomfort as a sign they're heading in the wrong direction. But discomfort isn't always a warning signal. Sometimes it's a growth signal telling you that change is happening at the deepest levels. Write in the comments, I trust the transformation process. This in-between space, this threshold you're crossing, is where the real transformation reveals itself. You're living in two frequencies simultaneously, and it creates this uncomfortable tension that most people misinterpret as evidence that something's gone terribly wrong. But I need you to understand what's actually happening behind the scenes. Your old reality hasn't completely released its grip yet, and your new reality hasn't fully solidified into physical form. It's like standing with one foot in a boat and one foot on the dock. There's this strange sensation of not quite belonging anywhere, of being suspended between two worlds that are both equally real and equally temporary. You might start noticing what I call micro-perceptual jumps. These are subtle shifts that feel like reality itself has glitched slightly. Maybe you walk into a room, and something feels different, even though nothing has physically changed. Or you have a clear memory of a conversation or event that others don't recall the same way. You might catch yourself responding to situations in ways that genuinely surprise you, as if someone wiser, calmer, more aligned is speaking through you, without any conscious effort on your part. These aren't signs that you're losing touch with reality. These are signs that your brain is updating its operating system, synchronizing your perception with the new inner frequency you've been broadcasting. The journey through this phase requires understanding that your neural pathways are literally rewiring themselves. Right now, old patterns are dissolving, new connections are forming, and your sensory filters, the way you perceive and interpret everything around you, are recalibrating to match the identity you've been rehearsing in the quantum field. This is why the world starts to feel slightly unfamiliar, why your reactions change, why you suddenly see opportunities you never noticed before, or feel drawn to different choices than you would have made just weeks earlier. But here's what determines whether your quantum leap becomes a permanent shift or just a temporary peak experience. What you do in the mundane moments afterward. True transformation doesn't happen during the meditation itself. It doesn't happen during that visualization before sleep. It happens in how you show up the next morning when no one's watching. It happens in the decisions you make when life tests whether you've actually changed or whether you were just playing pretend. This is what I call anchoring your new timeline, and it's the difference between people who talk about manifestation and people who actually live it as their everyday reality. You have to stop performing your old identity. You have to stop defaulting to the familiar reactions, the comfortable but limiting ways of being that kept you stuck in the previous frequency. Instead, you respond to every situation, every challenge, every opportunity, as if you already are the person you visualized in the quantum field. This shows up in surprisingly practical ways. It's in your body language, how you stand, how you walk, the energy you carry when you enter a room. It's in your words, not just what you say, but the tone, the certainty, the quiet confidence behind it. It's in your decisions, choosing the option that aligns with your new identity, even when the old version of you would have played it safe or settled for less. You maintain what I call silent certainty, an inner knowing that doesn't need external validation or constant reassurance. You're not anxiously checking whether it's working. You're not scanning your environment for proof or desperate for signs. You're simply being it, living it, breathing it, until it becomes so natural that you forget you ever lived any other way. The quantum field doesn't respond to your desperation or your hoping. It responds to your energetic consistency, to the vibrational frequency you maintain day after day until it's no longer something you do, but something you are. So here we are. If you're still with me right now, that tells me something important about you. You're not just here for quick fixes or surface-level advice. You're someone who's genuinely ready for transformation, someone who recognizes that this information found you at exactly the right moment in your journey. And if that resonates with you, I'd love to see you in the comments. Just write, "This message was meant for me." It creates a beautiful energy when we acknowledge these moments of alignment, and honestly, I read every single comment because your experiences add so much depth to what we're building here together. If something shifted inside you while watching this, if you felt that recognition, that knowing that you're on the verge of something significant, go ahead and hit that like button. It seems small, but it genuinely helps this content reach other people who are navigating their own transformation right now, searching for exactly what you just discovered. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I really encourage you to do that now. This channel is dedicated to bringing you practical, transformative content about consciousness and the hidden mechanics of reality. The kind of knowledge that actually creates real change, not just inspiration that fades by tomorrow. Every video is designed to give you tools you can use immediately, techniques that work in the real world, revelations that shift how you understand yourself and your power. There's a video right here that takes this even further, diving into how to maintain your new frequency even when external circumstances try to pull you back. Click and continue with me over there. I'll see you in the next one.